what the next step of the prototype's mission will be. The prototype's original goal was to stop the Bigger Bodies Initiative and to put a stop to the human experiments. His goals at the moment are unknown, but he has plans for something big. He is known to be a master manipulator, as shown when pretending to be Ollie for a few years. It is also theorized that this note from Chapter 1 was written by the prototype, while other people said that this isn't him, because the word "were" is misspelled for "were"'E, and the poppy drawing has coloring outside of it, leading it to possibly be a child who wrote this. I think this is him. He could have easily exploited us here, making us think it isn't him, and leading people to think that Kissy Missy had wrote this letter, when it was in fact the prototype. I think this was a way to lure us to him. He wants us to find Poppy, because he knew if we found her, it would lead us to him. Poppy was the original toy, but she is also different than the rest of the toys. Poppy doesn't have the desire to eat, and she doesn't get hungry. The prototype is the same way. Another thing they have alike is that they can talk to others telepathically. The prototype can control all toys. Now this sounds really strange, I know, but we have confirmation that the prototype has some kind of telepathic link and subliminal abilities to order/control the toys and humans alike. We try to fight it, the prototype's control. I mean, we see this directly in Project Playtime's monster tutorial, where 1006 communicates with the other experiments telepathically.
The others are hungry. The others are starving. Get up. They are trying to build more toys, more like you. It has to be stopped. Are you ready? You will see the location of every puzzle pillar. Protect them. Kill everyone in sight. The puzzle has been failed. Go to them. Your prey flees. Catch them. Follow their prints.
They are trying to build more toys, more like you. It has to be stopped. Get up. This is further supported by the prototype puppeteering Mommy Longlegs in one of the project's loading screens. But what does that have to do with Poppy? Simple. Just look at Chapter 2's intro. Our character seems to be unconscious because of the released red smoke that now escaped out of Poppy's case. But then, Poppy appears and orders the player to wake up. She's not physically present, so this shows that just like the prototype, Poppy can send subliminal telepathic messages. And once the player continues down the newly unlocked hallway, we hear Poppy's voice instructing, "Keep going this way."
What did I just hear? Did I just hear someone say hello?
But there are no vents or openings that we can feasibly hear her voice from. Her voice also isn't nearly as clear as when she's physically present nearby. She shows once again that she shares the same abilities as the prototype. Since we haven't encountered any other experiment that has similar abilities, I think it's safe to assume that Poppy and the prototype are the only ones. So if nothing else, the prototype was a successful test case at replicating this telepathy at the very least. Poppy was created by Elliot Ludwig himself as a way to bring his daughter back to life. She ended up being the perfect toy, but they couldn't replicate her. Only with the prototype did they replicate this type of toy. Maybe the toy only gains the ability to live without hunger if the person being converted into the toy is already dead. If Elliot Ludwig died and was put into the prototype, that would explain the similarities between Poppy and Tim. They both have telepathic abilities, and both can live without being hungry. Now to the main question of the video. What are his plans? Well, I think his plan is to get Poppy and figure out why they can live without food and can communicate differently than the other toys. I also think that the Doctor, aka Harley Sawyer, will join the prototype once more in Chapter 5. I think Harley Sawyer didn't actually die, because we didn't physically see him. We only saw a body part of his being killed off. And he also said, "You saved no one," after he had already died and the explosion occurred. The whole process of getting to him was also a bit odd, and it seemed as he was luring us towards him and wanted us to kill him. We also only heard his voice throughout chapter 4 and only encountered him once. We will most likely have to encounter him again, and he will be more of a threat, since chapter 4 for him was basically just toying with us. We know this because in the prison, Harley Sawyer said, "The subject scrambles for an advantage. They appear lost and disoriented." Heaving breathing is indicative of fear, and rightly so. Okay, where do we go now? Let's just open all these doors, honestly. Okay, that doesn't work.
The subject scrambles for an advantage. They appear lost and disoriented.
Yeah, honestly, he's got it straight on.
Is indicative of fear,
I am lost.
and rightly so.
From reading this, it looks as if he was trying to torment us. Later on, when he sends Baba Chops after us, he says, "Just like them, blind, scurrying little rat. You think poor Yarnaby was my only pet?"
Just like
Oh my god!
a blind, scurrying little rat.
Yo, what happened?
Poor Yarnaby was my only pet.
He never saw us as a threat, and we'll probably see his true form later on in the game. But what's his motive? I also know the prototype's motive, and why the doctor is setting these experiments after us. The prototype wants to kill all the toys, to free them. We know that the prototype hates what was going on with all the experiments, and that's why he orchestrated the Hour of Joy. We know that he wanted to help the kids be free from the evil employees who were performing these experiments. After the Hour of Joy, the employees were gone, but the experiments and children inside still weren't free. This is when the prototype realizes that the only way to free the children is to kill them. He used the doctor to make this process quicker by sending Yarnaby, Baba Chops, and the Nightmare Critters after us. From even the start of the game, the prototype just let us kill the experiments and never tried harming us. In chapter 1, we supposedly killed Huggy Wuggy, but it seemed either he survived or the prototype rebuilt him. In chapter 2, we killed Mommy Longlegs, and the prototype just grabbed her head and let us move on. However, in chapter 3, Catnap is killed by the prototype, since he maybe thought the prototype was holding his hand out to save him, but instead killing him. I assume the prototype is building up his body modifications, and he will start to kill the experiments on his own, since he is reaching his true potential. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you guys want to find out why Poppy ran away from us at the end of chapter 4, then you can click the video on the screen where I do a full analogy of why she left us.